This anime starts by showing us a man in the modern world who is not just any assassin. Bro, this guy is literally the world's best, a ghost no one can catch. And from the very first scenes, you can feel how calm, cold, and professional he is, whether he's preparing weapons, analyzing his target, or executing missions with zero hesitation. Because for him, killing is not emotion, it's just work. But here's the crazy part. Even though he's perfect at his job, his life is completely empty. No family, no friends, no happiness, just missions and silence. And when we see him complete another high-risk assignment, instead of feeling proud, he finally realizes something painful. He's tired. He wants to quit. He wants to live like a normal human being for once. And this small decision hits hard, because the moment he thinks about retiring, destiny slaps him in the face. Since while boarding a plane after his final mission, he slowly starts noticing small, strange details. Security behaving oddly, systems acting weird, and before he can fully react, boom! The plane explodes midair. Fighter jets appear. And in seconds, the truth becomes clear. The organization he served his entire life has betrayed him. They never planned to let him walk away alive. And as the plane breaks apart and fire surrounds him, we see his thoughts slow down. Not fear, not anger, but regret. Because after living as a weapon for so long, he dies without ever truly living. And that moment right there is emotionally brutal. But instead of darkness, the scene suddenly shifts into a bright, divine space where he meets a beautiful goddess sitting calmly like she controls fate itself. And she explains everything in a very casual but terrifying way. She says another world is doomed because a hero will eventually go out of control and destroy everything. And she needs someone capable of killing that hero. And when she asks him to do it, the assassin doesn't even hesitate because killing is the only thing he's ever been good at. But the real twist is when she offers him reincarnation, not as a random nobody, but as the son of a noble assassin family in a fantasy world, allowing him to grow with knowledge, power, and preparation. And as she performs the reincarnation ritual, clocks spin, magic lights flash, and his soul transfers into a new world, where he is reborn as a baby named Lugh Tuatha Dé. And bro, the moment he opens his eyes again is insane, because instead of chaos or cruelty, he's welcomed by warm parents who genuinely love him. And you can see the shock in his tiny eyes, because for the first time in both lives, he is born into love, not as a tool, not as a weapon, but as a child. And as the episode continues, we see small but powerful moments. Lugh realizing he still has all his memories, understanding the language instantly, observing the world silently like a veteran assassin trapped in a baby's body, noticing magic in the air, and slowly accepting that this world is very different from the one that betrayed him. And what really hits emotionally is how calm he stays. Because even as a baby, his mind is still calculating, still planning, still carrying the weight of killing a hero someday. And the episode ends with a close-up of his eyes as he silently promises himself that this time he will live smarter, stronger, and finish his mission perfectly, setting up an isekai story that is not about fun or comedy, but about fate, responsibility, and a man trying to find meaning in a second life while carrying the burden of ending another. Episode 2 slows things down, but in a really powerful way, because now the anime fully focuses on Lugh's new life and training. And right from the start, we see him growing up inside the Tuatha Dé household, a noble family that secretly specializes in assassination. But what hits different is how warm this family actually is, because instead of treating Lugh like a tool, his parents raise him with love, discipline, and trust, especially his father Tuatha Dé, who explains that their family only kills people who are a true threat to the world, not innocents. And that rule alone already separates them from normal assassins. And as Lugh grows, we see him observing everything quietly, using his past life experience to learn insanely fast, whether it's language, manners, or combat basics. And then the episode dives into one of its most important parts: magic, because Lugh starts learning how mana works in this world, and unlike normal kids who struggle, he understands it instantly, breaking it down like science, improving techniques, and even creating more efficient spells. And the visuals really sell this, showing mana flowing, symbols forming, and Lugh calmly testing limits while still acting like a normal child. Episode 3 takes a big turn because this is where Lugh officially steps outside his family's protection and begins moving into the real world, starting with his journey to the city, where his father sends him under the excuse of studying. But in reality, this trip is also a test, and from the moment Lugh arrives, the anime shows us a completely different side of us. And this episode introduces one of the most important characters in the entire story, Dia, a talented noble girl with incredible magic potential. And their first meeting already feels special, because while everyone else sees Dia as a genius or a problem, Lugh sees her as someone trapped by her own power, and as they start training together, the anime slows down to show their growing bond through simple scenes, studying magic, walking through the estate, and quiet conversations that slowly turn into trust. And the magic training scenes are especially important because Lugh doesn't just help Dia control her mana, he teaches her how to understand it, turning her overwhelming power into something beautiful and precise. And you can literally see Dia's fear fading and confidence growing with every lesson. And bro, this is where Lugh's assassin instincts fully awaken, because instead of reacting emotionally, he plans calmly, gathering information, predicting movements, and choosing the cleanest path. And when the assassination sequence finally happens, it's quiet, fast, and terrifyingly efficient, showing us that even as a kind mentor, Lugh is still a deadly professional, and the emotional punch comes right after, when Dia realizes Lugh protected her not as an assignment, but because he genuinely cared. And as they escape together, Dia chooses to follow Lugh, not because she has nowhere else to go, but because she trusts him completely. And the episode ends with Lugh realizing that for the first time in both lives, he's not walking alone anymore, making episode 3 a perfect balance of action, emotion, and character growth that pushes the story into something much bigger. Episode 4 shifts the story into a darker and more emotional direction, because now Lugh and Dia are officially on the move together, leaving behind the place that tried to erase her existence. And from the very start, you can feel the danger in every scene as they travel through forests, villages, and hidden paths, constantly aware that someone could be watching them. And this episode does an amazing job showing how careful Lugh is, checking routes, sensing threats, and always staying one step ahead. While Dia slowly starts opening up emotionally, talking about how scared she used to be of her own magic, and how alone she felt when everyone treated her like a monster instead of a person. And these quiet conversations hit hard, because you can see Lugh listening more than speaking, slowly understanding that protecting someone emotionally is harder than protecting them physically. But things get intense when the anime reveals the next major arc, the human trafficking ring operating in the shadows, kidnapping young girls and selling them as tools and slaves. And the moment Lugh discovers this, his expression completely changes, because this isn't just a mission anymore. It reminds him of everything he hated about his old world, and without hesitation, he decides to destroy the entire operation from the inside. It's cold, silent, and brutally efficient, because Lugh eliminates the traffickers one by one, freeing the captured girls and burning the operation to the ground. And the emotional peak comes after the action, when one of the rescued girls looks at Lugh with tears in her eyes and thanks him. And you can see something break inside him, because in that moment he realizes his power can actually save lives, not just end them. And the episode closes with Dia standing beside him, no longer afraid of the darkness he carries, but choosing to walk with him anyway, making episode 4 a powerful statement about justice, responsibility, and the kind of assassin Lugh chooses to become in this new world. Episode 5 brings a major shift in tone, because this is where Lugh officially starts building the team that will stand beside him in the future. And the episode opens with Lugh continuing his journey while secretly gathering information through the Tuatha Dé network, showing us how wide and powerful his family's influence actually is. And soon the focus moves to a poor village suffering under corrupt nobles and criminals, where we are introduced to Tart, a strong but broken girl who has spent her life surviving through hardship and violence. And right away, the anime shows us her tragic situation, sold, abused, and forced to live as a tool for others. And bro, these scenes are heavy, showing how much pain she's been through just to stay alive. And when Lugh steps in, he doesn't save her with fancy words or empty promises. Instead, he watches, analyzes, and then acts decisively, freeing her from that nightmare. And the moment Tart realizes she's finally safe, her tough expression completely collapses, turning into tears, rage, and relief all at once. And this emotional release hits hard, because it mirrors Lugh's own past life, used by others, discarded when no longer needed. And after rescuing her, Lugh offers Tart a choice, not an order, asking if she wants to live freely or become stronger by training under him. And Tart chooses strength, choosing to stand beside him instead of staying a victim. And the rest of the episode focuses on her intense training, showing brutal physical conditioning, combat drills, and discipline, but also small human moments where Tart begins smiling again, laughing, and slowly healing. And what really makes episode 5 special is how it contrasts Lugh's calm, calculated leadership with Tart's raw emotion, showing that Lugh isn't just collecting weapons, he's rebuilding broken people. And the episode ends with Tart officially joining him, not as a servant, but as a trusted ally, making this episode a powerful reminder that this story isn't only about killing the hero, it's about giving people a second chance at life. Episode 6 takes a smart and refreshing turn because instead of pure combat, this episode shows us that power in this world isn't just about strength or magic, it's also about money, information, and influence. And the episode begins with Lugh deciding to build his own business identity so he can move freely without drawing suspicion, which leads us into the merchant world, where we are introduced to Maha, a sharp, intelligent, and hardworking girl who survives by trading goods and information. And from their very first interaction, you can tell Maha is different because she doesn't panic, she doesn't flatter, and she sees value in knowledge more than power. And Lugh instantly recognizes her potential, not as a fighter, but as a strategist. And the anime does a great job showing this through negotiation scenes, market visuals, and small details like pricing tricks and information exchanges, making it clear that Maha's brain is her greatest weapon. And as Lugh helps her grow her business using ideas from his past life, better logistics, branding, and fair trade, you can see Maha slowly gaining confidence, standing taller, speaking louder, and believing in herself. And bro, these moments hit emotionally because unlike Tart, Maha was never physically broken, but mentally held back by fear and poverty. And Lugh giving her trust completely changes her future. But the episode doesn't forget the danger either, because as Maha's business grows, it attracts unwanted attention from corrupt merchants and nobles who try to crush her. And this is where Lugh once again shows his assassin mind, not by killing immediately, but by outplaying them, exposing corruption, cutting supply lines, and forcing enemies to destroy themselves. And the payoff is so satisfying because no blood is spilled, yet Lugh still wins perfectly. And by the end of the episode, Maha chooses to join Lugh, not out of fear or gratitude, but loyalty and belief, realizing that staying beside him means becoming part of something bigger. And the episode closes with Lugh looking at his growing team, Dia, Tart, and Maha, and silently understanding that to face the hero and protect the world, he won't fight alone, making episode 6 a powerful lesson that intelligence can be just as deadly as a blade. Episode 7 feels very different from the earlier episodes because this time the anime slows down and really lets us breathe, showing us the emotional side of Lugh's life rather than just his missions. And the episode begins with Lugh returning home to the Tuatha Dé estate after completing his travels, where we finally see him reunited with his parents. And these scenes are quiet but powerful because instead of praise or pressure, his parents simply ask if he's safe, reminding us once again that this family is built on care, not control. And as Lugh settles back into noble life, we see him attending social gatherings, learning etiquette, and interacting with other nobles. But behind every smile, he's still calculating threats, because even in peaceful halls, danger exists. And this episode does an excellent job showing how exhausting that double life is, especially when Lugh starts spending more time with Dia, Tart, and Maha individually, strengthening their bonds in subtle ways. Dia practicing magic late at night and smiling proudly when Lugh compliments her progress, Tart pushing herself in training until her hands bleed because she's terrified of becoming useless again, and Maha managing trade routes non-stop, pretending she's fine even though the pressure is crushing her. And bro, these scenes hit emotionally because none of them say their pain out loud, but you can see it in their expressions. And then the episode shifts focus to something even heavier, the reality of noble society, where marriages are treated as political tools. And this becomes painfully clear when Dia learns that powerful nobles are already discussing her future like she's an object, not a person. And the moment she overhears this conversation is heartbreaking, because her confidence instantly cracks. And when she later asks Lugh if her life will ever truly belong to her, the silence between them says everything. And Lugh, who is killed without hesitation, struggles to answer, because this is a problem he can't solve with a blade. But the tension doesn't stop there, because soon after, Lugh is secretly assigned another assassination mission by the Tuatha Dé family. And this target is not a criminal kingpin or trafficker, but a noble whose public image is clean, forcing Lugh to dig deeper and uncover the hidden truth. And as he investigates, we see him slipping back into his old assassin mindset, cold, distant, emotionally closed. And this contrast is painful because just moments earlier he was laughing with his companions, and now he's back to being a shadow. And when the assassination finally happens, it's clean, fast, and silent. But instead of satisfaction, Lugh feels emptier than ever, realizing that no matter how much he tries to change, killing will always follow him. And the emotional peak of the episode comes when he returns home afterward, and Dia immediately notices something is wrong, sitting beside him without asking questions, just staying there in silence. And that simple act completely breaks Lugh internally, because for the first time, someone understands him without needing explanations. And the episode ends with Lugh staring into the night sky, wondering if he can really protect this fragile happiness, while carrying a mission that will one day force him to kill the hero. Episode 8 immediately raises the tension, because this is where the anime starts reminding us that Lugh's peaceful moments are always temporary. And the episode opens with news spreading across the kingdom about growing monster activity and political instability, showing soldiers on the move, nobles panicking in private, and common people living in fear. And right away, we feel that something big is coming. And Lugh, instead of reacting emotionally, quietly begins gathering information through Maha's network, analyzing reports and patterns like a true professional. And as the investigation continues, the anime introduces a dangerous noble faction, secretly experimenting with forbidden magic to gain power, using innocent people as test subjects. And bro, the moment Lugh discovers this, you can see that familiar cold look return to his eyes, because this is the kind of evil he absolutely refuses to ignore. And the episode does a great job building suspense through preparation scenes. Lugh crafting special weapons, Dia enhancing magic spells with perfect control, Tart sharpening her combat skills with deadly focus, and Maha coordinating information like a commander behind the scenes, making it clear that this is no longer a one-man operation, but a fully formed team working in perfect sync. And when the mission begins, the visuals shift to dark corridors, hidden passages, and silent takedowns, showing Lugh infiltrating the enemy territory with surgical precision. And as things escalate, Tart takes on multiple enemies head-on, fighting with Ross. What really hits emotionally is how calm and trusting they are with each other, because every move depends on absolute faith. And when Lugh finally confronts the mastermind behind the experiments, the conversation is chilling, because the noble speaks casually about sacrifice and progress, treating lives like numbers, and without dramatic speeches, Lugh ends it swiftly, proving once again that he doesn't kill out of anger, but out of necessity. And the aftermath of the mission is quiet and heavy, showing rescued victims slowly realizing they're free, while Lugh watches from the shadows, questioning whether stopping one evil is enough in a world full of corruption. And the episode closes on a powerful emotional note when Dia thanks Lugh for giving her a place where her power saves lives instead of destroying them. Episode 9 is where the anime starts pressing hard on the idea of destiny, because from the very beginning, we feel a heavy atmosphere as rumors about the hero begin spreading more seriously across the land, with people calling him a savior, a miracle, and the future hope of the world, while at the same time reports of unexplained destruction quietly surface in the background, and Lugh immediately senses the contradiction, knowing from the goddess's warning that this praise will one day turn into fear. And as the episode progresses, we see Lugh deeply analyzing information with Maha, comparing timelines, locations, and magical traces, slowly realizing that the hero's power growth is far faster than anyone expected. And bro, this is where the tension really builds, because instead of showing the hero as a villain, the anime presents him as a genuinely kind and awkward person, saving villages, helping people, and smiling innocently, making Lugh's mission emotionally unbearable. And the visuals do a great job cutting between the hero being celebrated by crowds and Lugh watching from the shadows, completely unseen, carrying the burden of knowing the truth. And while Lugh struggles internally, danger strikes again when a city near his territory is suddenly attacked by a powerful monster. And as Lugh investigates the aftermath, he finds magical damage patterns that don't match any known creature. And the silence of the destroyed streets, the burned buildings, and the terrified survivors hits hard, because Lugh realizes this wasn't just an accident, it was a preview of what the hero could become. And the episode balances this heavy realization with emotional team moments, showing Dia questioning whether fate can really be changed, Tart promising she'll fight anyone who threatens Lugh's world, and Maha admitting she's scared, but refusing to back out. And these scenes matter, because they show that Lugh is no longer alone in carrying this destiny. And the emotional peak of the episode arrives when Lugh 10 minutes. Episode 10 feels intense right from the start, because now the anime makes it very clear that the calm before the storm is officially over, and the episode opens with rising tension across the kingdom as different nations begin preparing for conflict. Soldiers are being mobilized, nobles are making secret alliances, and whispers about the hero's uncontrollable power continue spreading behind closed doors. And Lugh is right in the middle of all this chaos, quietly moving pieces like a chess master, because instead of rushing toward the hero, he focuses on stabilizing the world first, using Maha's information network to predict political shifts, prevent wars, and remove threats before they explode. And the emotional peak of the episode comes later when Lugh receives new information about the hero's power rapidly evolving again, this time with visible side effects like emotional instability and massive mana fluctuations. And Lugh realizes with chilling clarity that the hero is approaching the point of no return, And that moment absolutely crushes him, because delaying any longer might doom the world. But acting too soon might kill an innocent person. And the episode closes with Lugh standing alone at night, watching the stars, remembering the goddess's warning, his past life's regret, and the faces of the people who now believe in him. And for the first time, he openly admits to himself that no matter what choice he makes next, it will cost him something. Episode 11 feels heavy from the very first scene, because now the anime stops teasing the danger and finally shows us how close the world is to collapse. And the episode opens with clear signs that the hero's power is becoming unstable. Entire landscapes damaged, monsters wiped out too violently, and people saved but left terrified by the sheer force used. And Lugh receives detailed reports through Maha's network confirming his worst fear. The hero is no longer fully in control, and instead of celebrating victories, the kingdom starts hiding the destruction to protect morale, which immediately tells us how deep the corruption and fear go. And Lugh, carrying the full weight of his mission, begins preparing seriously for the possibility that he may have to act soon. And the preparation scenes hit hard emotionally, because this time it's not just weapons and tactics. We see Lugh quietly organizing affairs, securing his companion's safety routes, and even setting plans that don't include him, which is heartbreaking because it feels like he's preparing for his own death. And the anime balances this tension with emotional character moments, like Tart demanding to know why he's acting distant, and promising she'll fight beside him no matter what. Maha calmly accepting the risk, but secretly trembling when she's alone, and Dia finally breaking down, asking Lugh if his mission matters more than his life. And bro, that moment is painful, because Lugh can't give her a comforting answer. He can only say that if the world survives, that has to be enough. And as the episode continues, political pressure increases, with high-ranking nobles pushing Lugh's family into tighter control, trying to use him as a weapon. And this forces Lugh to confront the same system that betrayed him in his past life, bringing back old trauma and anger. And instead of exploding, he handles it with terrifying calm, outmaneuvering them with words and influence, proving he's no longer just an assassin, but a master strategist. Episode 12 opens with an intense and serious atmosphere, because now the story has reached the point where every choice matters. And from the very beginning, we see the consequences of everything built so far, as news spreads about massive threats and rising chaos caused by powerful enemies connected to the hero's growing influence. And Lugh, fully prepared both mentally and strategically, begins executing his final plans with absolute precision, not rushing, not hesitating, but moving like someone who has already accepted the weight of what he must do. And the episode shows him coordinating silently with his team. Maha controlling information and routes from the shadows, Tart guarding and eliminating threats with fierce loyalty, and Dia standing at Lugh's side with calm determination, her magic perfectly controlled, symbolizing how far she has come since the terrified girl we met earlier. And what really hits emotionally is how little dialogue there is, because everyone understands what's at stake without needing words. And as the mission unfolds, the anime delivers some of its most intense visuals. Large-scale magic, collapsing battlefields, and enemies overwhelmed by forces far beyond normal limits, reminding us just how dangerous this world has become. And when Lugh finally confronts the central threat of the arc, he doesn't act out of hatred or pride, but responsibility, executing his plan flawlessly while minimizing damage and protecting civilians, proving once again that his strength lies not in power, but control. And after the conflict settles, the anime shifts into a quieter emotional phase, showing the aftermath, survivors rebuilding, nations stabilizing, and the immediate danger temporarily pushed back. But the real emotional punch comes when Lugh reflects alone, realizing that even though he stopped this crisis, the hero still exists, the prophecy is still active, and his true mission is far from over. And this realization is heavy, because it confirms that there is no easy ending waiting for him. Yet, instead of despair, we see growth, as Lugh returns to his companions and allows himself to stay in the moment, smiling, laughing softly, and enjoying the peace they earned. And the final scenes beautifully balance hope and tension, showing Dia looking toward the future with trust, Tart standing proud and unbroken, Maha confident in the path she chose, and Lugh quietly watching them all, understanding that this second life, unlike the first, is filled with people worth protecting. And the season ends not with a final battle against the hero, but with a promise that when the time comes, Lugh will make the hardest choice imaginable, not as a weapon, but as a human being, making episode 12 a powerful and emotional conclusion that leaves us excited, uneasy, and deeply